Yeah. We game time ready. Welcome to my gym where the crowd stays heavy.
So whataburger, you enjoyed whataburger?
You know what? I can understand what the controversy is about. Even though I had whataburger in the Dallas Love Airport, bigger burger than you get at In-N-Out. 2 beef patties. I mean, it was delicious, man. I could see why people have some strong opinions either way about In-N-Out and whataburger.
If you had to pick one right now, like what would you pick, do you think?
In-N-Out.
Okay.
Yeah, I would pick In-N-Out, but I think In-N-Out's double doubles are too small. I wish they had bigger size, burgers, but everything's bigger in Texas, right? So love In-N-Out, but I got to give credit to Whataburger in Texas.
Only the most controversial of topics on the Sons of Montezuma podcast.
I'm gonna have to try it.
What's going on, everybody? It is your host, Mateo San Diego. You can find me at Mateo San Diego. You can definitely find us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Make sure you're following, liking, and subscribing on YouTube, Sons of Montezuma. And it's another Kiss the Rings episode where the guys are back just to, give a little update and talk some hoops because we're still riding high off of the Aztecs' Final Four and championship run. Joining me today, you cannot stop him. You can only hope to contain this man all the way from across the country right now is SD Sports Fiend. Good to have you join us today, man. How you doing, Fiend?
I'm doing well, man. I'm recording from the Sons of Montezuma chapter in Naples, Florida.
And joining us from East Tahoe, as he usually does, the sandwich aficionado, Lego champion, and a proud supporter of all things that are awesome. It's Mike Tortolat. What's up, Mike?
Gentlemen, good to see you again. It's been a little nice break, but glad to be back with my crew.
It has been a lot. It's been kind of slow in certain areas, but there's been a little bit of an excitement in other areas as well. Watching this program kind of get all their flowers, right? Just receiving so much love and appreciation from the city, from just national writers, from scouts, just all the nation is really given a lot of appreciation to what this program has done. I think we see it all over social media. I still watch these clips, guys. I still watch all these highlights. And, man, it gives me chills to watch that Lamont Butler shot, the buzzer beater in the Final Four. Just, I'm still living high off of this stuff, man. And, as it rolls into the off season, there's a lot that comes with it. The expectations, people coming and going, leaving the team, coming in the team. Obviously, we already talked about Reese Dixon Waters coming in from USC, the transfer. And now, guys, we've got a couple guys leaving the program, right? So most notably, Keshad Johnson. I don't think we talked about that in our previous episode, but Keshad Johnson is declared for the draft along with, many others on the team. But in particular, he declared for the draft and then added in that he's also entering the transfer portal. And so, what did you guys take from that? Because I know we included it in our article. It's not necessarily the end of the world. I think it was kind of time for him to make that move. And if the NBA doesn't necessarily come knocking on his door right now, he's going to make the most of his opportunity playing. Fiend, I know you got some interesting opinions, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that he declared for the draft. I think that's a great thing to do to get the evaluation and figure out what he needs to work on. I was a little surprised that he jumped in the portal. I don't know what his financial situation is and, if he needs to take care of family. And if he does, then I certainly understand. You're not going to get the biggest NIL deal, with San Diego State. There's much better opportunities for that elsewhere. Getting that exposure from the Final Four, and I'm sure has piqued the interest of a lot of programs, with that bag of money who could offer that. And I just don't know also with the role, if he was looking for a more expanded role with the team. Was he looking to play more the three, with more outside shooting? He's been playing sort of the small ball 4 role with SDSU. He he goes out to the perimeter. Occasionally will hit some shots, but he's not handling the ball a lot on the perimeter. And I think maybe that's really what he needs to do to get to the next level. I think outside shooting and certainly working on his handles. If he spent the majority of the day just traveling with a basketball, dribbling it everywhere he went, I think he would make vast improvements in that area. And that's what's going to help him get to that next level. So I'm not exactly sure. I'm not plugged in, so I don't know all the reasons behind it, but that would be my guess. It could be a combination of role and NIL.
Most likely is a combination of that. Now, Mike, I mean, I know this team is a team, right? The program has established themselves, the style of play, the sacrifices that each guy makes. How do you feel as far as, this program's philosophy and that type of a decision? I mean, it had to be a tough decision.
He feels this is the best opportunity for him to transfer. I mean, he did lead to some scoring in the championship game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, he's played really well. He's really blossomed over the last couple of years, especially this year. But you got to do what's best for you. And I think the coaches know that, hey, we're here to teach them and guide them on their way. We're never going to have them forever. Sometimes you get them a year less than you think, or a year more than you think you're going to have them. But their job is to, hey, we're going to try and get you to get you to go where you need to be or you want to be by helping you every way we can. With Keshad, I think the thing that impresses me the most with him is his growth academically over the years. I mean, he became a superstar in the classroom, where I think he struggled a little bit at the beginning, and then he just became, very good in the classroom consistently. So, he's done a lot here, and maybe it's one of the things. Hey, I've done everything I've wanted to do here at San Diego State. Let me try something else. Let me see where I'm going to go and try something new. So, good for him. I enjoyed watching him. I always loved watching him play. He seemed like a nice kid when you talk to him, and but hey, you got to do what you got to do. Now, on the other hand, the coach got to do what they got to do at that point. You know what I mean? Dutcher,
right? Yeah.
I think Dutcher wanted that kid from USC already, and he kind of had a feeling that was kind of almost a swap for Keshad. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying, but we saw that last year with Micah and Chad Baker Mazzara. You know what I mean? We don't know what's going on in the locker room. We don't know what's behind the scenes. I can't imagine. I'm sure Dutcher had a little bit of an inkling he was going to head out. I mean, there's got to be something. But we wish him the best, and we hope he plays well, and he's an Aztec for life, and we really appreciate everything he's done. But now it's time to turn to the next chapter.
Look at the development he had in the 4 years. I mean, that guy, he came in raw, right out of high school, very raw, and has worked on his game so much. I mean, to the point where he's a fairly reliable 3-point shooter now, and certainly he's a good defender, and he can play inside. And so just expanding his game, he's going to continue to work on that. And he's a good leader too. If you see the some of the videotape of him in the locker room and just sort of the leadership that he had on that team, I think that's pretty valuable. And we're definitely going to miss that. I don't know who's going to step up into that leadership role next year, but that's something that will be surely missed. So
kind of hitting on a similar type of thing, like watching Nathan Mensah since the season has been over.
It's the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament. They call it the Pit.
Yeah.
And
I mean, just performed tremendous. He was just showing things that people were asking, well, where was this? Where was this? And then if you listen to Nathan, he spoke recently, him and Matt Bradley at the Rock Church, and he kind of opened up like this was a struggle for him this season, Nathan. He had his vision set on how he was going to play and how his performance was going to be, especially offensively in this year's team. And it wasn't working out that ways. And it was a frustration point for him where he felt like giving up. He felt like I'm kind of done with this year, right? But it was Bradley who kind of poured into him. It was Matt Soria who kind of poured into him. The things you're doing that don't get the stats, like it means a lot to your teammates. And since then, he kind of elevated his approach, his attitude. And that's when things really started to come together, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of that dynamic that goes on with this program that you really have to, you really got to play for your brother out there. It's a tough thing to do, but when you do it, the results are off the charts. But he's proven himself. He's showing some things offensively that a lot of people are scratching their head like, man, where was this?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so happy for him that he's playing at this, high level in these postseason tournaments, and getting the exposure, and hopefully that gets him not only noticed by the NBA and maybe a summer camp invitation, but also the scouts overseas and the teams overseas, that he can get a really good contract out of it. But San Diego State, the players are asked when they come there to sacrifice, right, for the better of the team. And I think he is an example of that, of a guy who had to sacrifice his game for his role on the team. And so I think a lot of the reason why we didn't see what he was doing at Portsmouth, during the Aztec season, is because he was asked to sacrifice, and his role was just different than what he was asked to do in Portsmouth. It's not that he couldn't do it. It wasn't his role. And so that's just the way it is at SDSU. Everyone sacrifices.
Do you guys have anything? Should we talk about Lamont Butler before we bring in Maciejewski? What do you guys have to hit on Butler?
Well, I think there's a growing concern with Butler that, good for him. But he may get drafted, or, he may get, I don't know, first round consideration, but certainly maybe somewhere in the second round where he would be given a, guaranteed contract, or, some money on the table that might entice him to stay in the draft. And I wouldn't have said that before the tournament, but I think because of the run that he had in the NCAA tournament, and now he is working out for, I think, the next 6 weeks or next 2 months. Ziegler reported in his article with Impact Sports, and where is it, in Vegas? But he's working with like a trainer out there and trying to just improve his stock and get some workouts. And you never know with those workouts. We know what we have in Lamont Butler. We've seen it all season. We know how special he is on defense. We know how great he can be on offense, and how clutch he is. And, he has that clutch gene. But now the rest of the country has seen it, and now these scouts are going to see it. So I think there is probably a growing concern that there is possibility that he could stay in the draft. And then if you lose Lamont Butler, who is really going to be, your heart and soul next year, and probably your one of your main scorers, who do you replace him with?
I hear the concern in your voice, and using the word concern, right? That gym that he's working at right now out there in Vegas, it's the same gym that Kawhi prepped at before he got drafted. So anyway, there's a lot of things at play here. But, when I think of the shot against FAU and the ascension of Lamont this past year, the listener may not like this, the watcher may not want to see me say this, but it's not a concern to me. And I'll tell you why. What Lamont has done for San Diego State already is so priceless. If he was able to get a guaranteed contract, if that were to be the narrative, and he's able to ascend in the draft that ways, this is a great thing, guys. This is the best thing that could probably come out of, other than winning a national championship for San Diego State. We want our guys to be drafted. We want our guys to get that notoriety, to get that respect, to get that love. It happened with Kawhi, and we've been seeing the residual effects since then. Getting a guy like a Jalen McDaniels, getting a guy like a Malachi Flynn, and now, with others. So, hey, we can have that concern for next year. If he's not here, there's a big void to fill. But at the same time, you got to think big picture here. And that would be a tremendous result of this amazing run this year if he were to elevate himself up to that. So, I'm not overly concerned. This program is a program, and to have that be the result, if that were to be the case, I think it would only bring about even better things.
I just want to say, and I want to make it very clear, I want what's best for Lamont, and Lamont getting to the pros that would be awesome. And I want that for him. I'm just saying, if he were to leave, it would be so difficult to find a replacement in the transfer portal at this stage of the game.
Yeah.
Because the man is one of the best Aztecs ever. Let's just go there. He's one of the he's hit clutch shots. He hit the biggest shot in San Diego sports history. He's a big reason why we went on that run with his defense and his offense combined.
Yeah.
I mean, so there would be a huge hole there. Kudos to him if he can get drafted and you know, he can follow that his dreams a year earlier than maybe he or thought he would.
It's a great problem to have in his case, right? It's a great decision to have, because if he comes back to state, we're talking about one of the most hyped senior seasons maybe ever to walk on the Mesa. I mean, the expectation would be enormous. You know, he's getting so much better in this offseason, training and doing everything he's doing, getting that feedback from the pro scouts and all that stuff to work on his game. So, I mean, we're talking about a buildup of a senior season that could be really, really special. So do you make yourself even more marketable that senior season, or do you go after it now and put yourself in that bigger world of the league and pro ball? All right, I'm gonna bring in Maciejewski, unless you got anything, Mike. I don't know if you want to even touch on that, but we'll.
I want what's best for him. I just prefer it to be next year.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's a great player. I mean, we all see it. If he comes back for one more year and has a stellar year, he arguably could be one of the greatest. He might be the greatest San Diego State Aztec player that has come through this program.
Yeah, top 5.
Yeah, and I think he has that potential because we've seen him. You know, when he wants to get something done, he goes and he plays big in big games. And I think that's what you look at as an NBA scout or whatever. How do these guys play in big games? Whatever he's going to decide, we're going to support solely. Selfishly, I prefer he comes back.
Well said. All right, well, that's just one of the topics on the table, and well, I'll bring him in right now. And then...
How do you say his last name?
Maciejewski. We should all just like chant it. Get it in my brain.
Mr. Maciejewski.
Maciejewski.
How's it going? Yeah.
What is that? Is that
Polish?
Okay.
Yeah.
Your audio is like very different than last time. Is everything all right on there?
Yeah, I'm doing the headphones.
Is there a way to do the earbuds for your speaker, but the microphone off of the laptop?
Let's see. Okay. Is that better?
Yeah, your voice sounds way better. Mr. Aztec Hoops Nation himself. It's been, a little bit of action. I think I got it down now. It's Michael Maciejewski.
Yes, perfect.
A lot of practice, a lot of listening to the last episode and practice. How you doing, Mike? Good to see you, man.
I'm good, man. Glad to join you guys. I had a lot of fun last time. Thought I'd do it again,
So you brought to us last time Reese Dixon Waters, the news of his transfer in. That's official now, so it's all good, ready to go on the Mesa. But now we've kind of come to this point where nothing has surfaced just yet. And I don't think that's necessarily cause for an alarm or anything like that. But the transfer portal is an interesting waters to navigate. So what are you hearing on your end, man? How are things going?
So, there's been some targets that we had that went elsewhere. Graham Ike, not a surprise. He ended up at Gonzaga. Jalen Ledoch ended up opening his recruitment that ended up back at Georgia, which is right by his home since he's from Savannah, Georgia himself. And so there were some names that were hopeful. I was hopeful, especially Ledoch. I was really hopeful. But, obviously that was disappointing. We have reportedly Javonte Brown from started at UConn and then played at Texas A&M sparingly last year. He's a 6'11", 7-footer, supposedly reportedly coming in. And then, just kind of looking at, what other pieces might fall. We have 3 scholarships. We need at least 2 guys. We had Josiah Alec from New Mexico visit a couple weeks ago, but he was at he was at Nebraska last week, and I believe he's from Nebraska as well. With Hunter Salas, who's also was a target, is a target, depending if we're still looking for another guard. But it's quiet, but it's still somewhat early. As guys move around, other guys start leaving the portal. I was telling, I think, Fiend in messages, I was a little nervous, little ups, kind of starting to get, not seeing that big old pickup we all thought we were going to see. But then that same day, like 3 guys like transfer from Kentucky and like another guy from some other big time school. And I was like, you know what? This might be it. This might be the reshuffling as players leave and players find a new spot. It could be reshuffling. It's just like you said, it's completely, these waters are completely new. It's different. NIL's a big player for some people, and yeah, it's a completely different situation. And had the championship run happened 2-3 years ago, we'd see probably a big boon right now in prospects and people interested in coming. But for some people, whether it be background or whether it be home situations, money is important. So sometimes that is a decision maker, and you can't blame kids who grew up without it or who need it, pick that as a reason. But
I think the players can jump in the portal as late as I think May 11th or May 12th. So we still have a couple of weeks, and that they don't have to make a decision. They just have to get into the portal. Like basically the portal closes at that point. You cannot then enter the portal, but then you can land with another team or go back to your previous team. So you may see in the next couple of weeks, a lot of people just looking at their situation, looking at other situations, and maybe there is some, back channeling and, hey, we'd, consider you if you did jump in the portal. Not that I agree with that type of behavior from, coaches, but I'm sure it happens, and so there will be people I think that, might fit the Aztecs and what they need, that could jump in before that deadline. But what I wanted to ask you, Mike, is what do you think the needs are on this team? What are the holes? We need 2 big guys, but what are those big guys? Are they starters? Are they backups? What do you think?
The first one is we definitely need a center. That's questionable if we need a backup center or a starting center, depending on where you're going to put Jaden Ledee. So depending if you see him as a 4, then you definitely need a starting 5. If you're going to start Ledee at the 5, then you need a backup to back him up. I'm actually curious to see what you guys think. Do you think Ledee's a starting center next year? Is that what you guys feel?
So my take on it is this. A lot of people are saying we need to fill the gaps with the type of player that we've just had. And I don't necessarily agree with that. Every team, every year is going to be different. To go out there and try to find another Nathan Mensah, you're not going to do it. To go out there and try to find, another AG, it's not going to happen. You're not going to place these players that are available necessarily in the same spot. Now, I know you have a philosophy, you have a style of play that you want to, tap into, that you've been doing that's successful. But it's just not that easy. And, those expectations, I think, of fans that I see out there is that, you got to have this, you got to have that. Well, I mean, you got to have what you have and coach them up and figure it out because Nathan Mensah is not walking through that door again,
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I think you also have to look at the players that they're had reported interest in, and that tells you what they're looking to fill, right? That tells you a lot about what their role is going to be. Josiah Alec, I think, is like a perfect fit for the Aztecs. With Kashad leaving, I think he could slide into that spot in the starting lineup. I think he's great for us. I just don't know if we provide enough opportunity for him for what he wants to do. And also, like you said, he starred at Lincoln North High School. His sister is on the volleyball team at Nebraska. It's the Big Ten. They probably have better NIL, although he did say that money was not going to be an issue with his decision. But I think as far as Alec, if we were able to slide him into Kashad's position and the way he can defend, you remember how he defended Bradley in that game. It was masterpiece. And, you know, for a guy that big, 6'8", you know, to be guarding a guy 6'3" and to completely shut him down. We need that. I think we need that defensive versatility. And that's why you need a guy like Alec, you know, with a guy like Kashad leaving. And then, you know, with Javonte Brown, he's a 2-time transfer. He's not a grad transfer. Is he going to be able to get eligibility next year? Or is he going to have to sit out a year?
He's going to have to sit a year.
So this is potentially a Jaden Ledee year then, kind of,
yes.
right?
Correct.
And that actually bodes well for us because he can look at Jaden Ledee as sort of, you know, the blueprint for that. Well, I can work on my game for a year and then come out and then have, you know, an awesome whatever senior year, you know, whatever year he's going to be. So, you know, if he's not going to play next year, then we would also need another center. And one of the centers that just landed that we had interest in was Daniel Bacho from Texas Tech, right? He's a 6'10", 6'11" center, also played at Arizona, and he just landed at Louisiana Tech. So we lost out to a Conference USA school. Now, who knows, maybe they offered him a role that he was really interested in, you know, that we couldn't offer, but it could be a little concerning too, that we're, you know, losing out on a recruit to Louisiana Tech.
I think I heard that one of his coaches from one of his schools is an assistant there now, I believe. Mm-hmm. So that may have played a role in familiarity with the staff. But yeah, I mean, definitely a center, and you know, like I said, big names are gone. And I will say one thing. I mean, I'm going to give the staff has earned the benefit of the doubt. You know, they found Yanni Wetzel, you know, where nobody knew who Yanni Wetzel was. You know, they found a number of guys. I mean, Jaden Ledee is a 2-time transfer, you know, that sat out. You know, it's like they know what they're looking for, what fits. So until, you know, they've shown us a lot of success with guys who are not, you know, the biggest names. And yeah, I mean, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt because they've proved they've earned that. So they have a plan, and yeah, NIL kind of messes with that, kind of messes with guys you're looking at, and that's tough. And no one's, I'm sure, is more frustrated than the coaching staff. But you know, same time, I think we just kind of need to just, you know, like you said, we have till May 11th, so let's kind of wait to see who's out there and see who's coming in, and hopefully we start hearing some more news because you know, we all want to keep building off that run to the championship and see that, you know, pan out in recruiting. And I mean, Dixon Waters was huge. I mean, huge get for us. And, you know, it's easy to, you know, be like, okay, what's next, you know, and immediately want the next big thing to join the team. But that was a great first step. And, you know, the rest is just filling in those pieces. And I know I didn't really answer this, Mateo, but I think like you need a center, whether it's a starter or a backup, and you definitely need a power forward, you know, to at least, you know, have some depth on that team. Based on who you're going to play. You know, if you're playing Parrish at 3 or the 4, it just kind of depends what you're doing, but you're going to need another power forward. So I think the backcourt's fine. We have some good players coming in the backcourt, but definitely getting some bigs. That's going to be, you know, important. And again, it's, you know, just having that depth, whether they start, it doesn't really matter at this point. I think they just need to have, you know, 2 guys that they can interchange and will fit kind of the way, you know, Ledee came in and offered something different than Nate did last year, and vice versa.
See, Mike Tortolak kind of cooled my jets a little earlier today, or he tried to cool my jets a little bit, saying, hey, NIL, it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be all right. And you know what? I believe that because, you know, this team, you know, we're all high right now off this Final Four run. The odds of that happening again, guys, I know we all want it to happen again. We want to be in the Final Four every single year now, right? We want that fix. We want that high again. It's not likely going to happen. And I know you fans don't want to hear that. It was the first time it's ever happened in school history. For Lightning to strike twice in back-to-back years, hey, I'm right there with you. I want it. I want it in my bones. I want it in my veins so bad, but it's not likely going to happen. Now, if we don't get another big time transfer come in, okay, the young guy's going to have to step up. Now, Mike cooled my jets a little bit because he's saying, you know, this program, we know what it is. We know how they operate. If we don't have the biggest NIL war chest, you know, it's not the end of the world. Now, there's been a lot of talk. Everybody go give your money to Mesa Foundation. I'm right there with you. Nobody has championed the Mesa Foundation more than Sons of Montezuma this past year. I love what they're doing. I think they need to grow. We all need to support it. But we also need to understand, like, their mission and their philosophy. It's a great one. It's across the board for all the players. It's a community service-based nonprofit as well. So it touches on the giving aspect both ways. You know, it's not like a rich donor just throwing away, you know, 6 figures at these players. That's not exactly their goal or their intention. Now, I would love for them to blow up, and we need to support them to be as big as possible. But, you know, they align themselves. The Mesa has aligned themselves with the philosophy, the backbone of this program being about the team. So that's crucial. It's very important. And Mike, I appreciate you kind of cooling my jets with that type of a mentality. Like, let's reel it in. Like, everything's okay. There's no need to kind of freak out or be so sizzling hot. Like, oh, we need to be doing this. We need to be having millions of dollars here. And it's like, everybody just chill out. Like, people are doing the best that they can. Like, the Mesa is doing an amazing job. If they don't pour out millions of dollars, you know, tomorrow to bring in the biggest transfer, it's not the end of the world. Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, the NIL is interesting to me. You know, I mean, I don't care about the NIL, dude. Like, I just don't give a shit. It doesn't affect me. I can't do anything about it, right? And I know you guys are into it and stuff, and I understand it. Hold on, what?
2 things Mike does not care anything about: NIL and analytics.
Yeah. So here's my philosophy on NIL. I think it affects football, but more basketball. You know, the basketball guys. You know, I kind of go back to the saying in, you know, The Dark Knight, when, you know, Alfred was talking about the guy in the Burma, you know, who stole the rubies, and they tried to find the guy and they could never find the rubies. And then all of a sudden they found these kids playing with the rubies. Some men just want to watch the world burn. It's not about money to everybody. You know, it's not always about money. Our culture is, hey, you see what we have. You see all the players that came back for us, and and the family mentality of how many guys were there supporting them. And just, you know, it's true. Tradition never graduates. You know, hey, do you want to come and play with us? You're going to get great guys you play with, great coaching, San Diego, you know, we'll probably go in the Pac-12. You know, we would like to have you, but if it's not going to happen, we'll figure out something else. And they always have guys to go after, like you're saying, Wetzel. Nobody had him coming off, you know, at Vanderbilt, or where I think was where he was, right? And he just went crazy. You know what I mean? I think they look at this like, yeah, we're not the NIL, we're not Kentucky, we're all those guys, but I still think that affects players on that team, depending on the mentality. You have to have a different mentality. If your boy who just comes in, like the Georgia guy's making $600,000, and you've been there 3 years, that dude better ball the fuck out, dude. He averaged 20 and 10 a night. That's how I'm thinking. You know what I mean? As a fan, dude, if I'm giving you all this money, you better ball out. You better take us to where you go. And not everybody can do that. So for me, it's like, hey, come here, play with us, enjoy the weather, enjoy the time. But, you know, like my brother lives on campus, and he would see Matt Bradley all the time. And he's like, he's the coolest guy. He's just sitting there hanging out, and he says hi. He's very nice and stuff like that. They recruit the kid before the basketball player. Right. Yeah. So, you know, that's kind of how I look at it. And, you know, the NIL, at some point, how much are these people going to keep putting money in year after year after year after year to be like, I'm going to put $100,000 each year into this. You know what I mean? As that's not, you know, it's not like a huge write-off for some of these guys who are making millions and millions and billions of dollars. At some point you're like, dude, that's enough. But that's kind of my philosophy on it, is we're going to get our guys, you know, we know who we want to get. I'm sure they look at, and they've heard about the NIL, and there's whispers, these guys all talk, and it's like, hey, oh, that guy's kind of more NIL-y in terms of the money. I think we'll pass on him. I was reading the article about Lamont. I'm sure Lamont's gotten offers. I guarantee he's gotten offers from people. But like his old man said, he's like, we love San Diego State, man. So essentially what I hear from that is it's NBA or San Diego State.
Fantastic article that I read that earlier. And I almost want to quote it because it was just so good. If you guys haven't read it, he says, Lamont Sr. says, like I told schools that have called, all money is not good money. Our family is not built like that. We're loyal, just like Lamont. Just make sure people understand that Lamont's not making a decision based off what another team is offering. He loves San Diego State, loves it. I love reading that.
And
I had a conversation with him at the banquet last year, pretty much, on that topic. And he gave me like almost the exact same take. And I was like, this is the most refreshing thing that I've heard. And it just, I'm so grateful that there are people out there who, they don't put money over, the academics or, the culture, the development of their, of their skill as a basketball player. And so, it's exactly what he was telling me at the banquet, and it's so good to hear. And another reason why I'm so grateful we have Lamont Butler and his family as Aztecs.
The other thing too is I think a lot of kids want to stay close to home so their parents can come see them play.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
True.
It's a big deal. That family atmosphere, it's different for everybody, but yeah, it's a big deal, man. It's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just kind of mention that, like I said, we're very lucky at Lamont, and Lamont has a great family. And but again, what it's a beginning. Like I said, it's pretty much uncharted territory. This is new. It's new for everybody. Seeing these numbers. Yeah, we heard about Nigel Pack last year making all this crazy money from from the booster and everything, and those weren't like the norm. That was those were just one-off things that you heard. But I will say, like, I'm willing to give the Mesa Foundation a chance to see how they build it, because it's a great start. Like I said, it's important. It builds the team. But I also at the same time, I don't want us to cut off kids because like they said, they do need money. Like that would be helpful. Like they want to go. Like the kids that stay home that can play. But like, what about the kids who you give them extra $2,000 a month? They can fly their family out for some games. Things like that. So I mean, it's just an interesting thing where it's new and it's going. And I said, 2000 is great, but like you saw, I guess the guy from Iona that's going to New Mexico, 130,000. And so I agree with Mike. Like I think that's unsustainable. Like you can't. How long is a guy going to get paid 130,000 to go to New Mexico to make the NIT? How long is Ardona's going to be paying for NIT appearances? Because you can't. Not everybody can make the NCAA tournament. Not everybody can finish in the top. The Mountain West. Like at some point, the money is dead money because you're not getting a return back on it. But at the same time, San Diego State, like I said, I think it's a huge opportunity to build on that because even like $1,000 or $2,000 more per kid, you're talking 48,000. That's a decent amount. So I don't want to just say let's keep that as let's hope it grows. Let's hope it improves because it would just open up to more kids. I said like a Hunter Hallis who's from Nebraska. Even though his mother played at San Diego State, maybe that extra $2,000 can fly mom out to go see him play here or an extended stay for a couple games, just things like that as an example. Not all players want to, not all players is their motivation, but it is something you have to ask. It's kind of like you go to a job interview, you at some point have to ask, hey, what's the salary? Even though you want to work at that job, but at some point you have to say it's something that has to come up. And so I've read about that through interviews with other players and reading articles like how, even though kids say I don't really care about the NIL, but hey, I do have to kind of ask like how much does this will I be able to get and how much can I earn? And that's fair because this is their value. So
it's interesting to see some of these guys who come here and just say, I want to win. They know what they're coming into. These guys, the kids who are coming now know exactly what they're coming into. And like with Trammell last year, when they said, hey, we can get to a Final Four with you. And they did. Now that credibility's there. Hey, San Diego State, they say it, they're good, but they're not. Now we can say, hey, dude, we got there. We're two big man because we played some big guys in UConn. They were beasts, right? And we can say, hey, you come here with what we got coming back. We can get to another national title with you here. and do some damage. And, you know, you know what, dude? Like, here's my thing, bro. How fucking good is Micah Parrish going to be next year? That dude is going to take the leap. He is going to take the leap because you have Bradley, you know, Mensah, Keyshawn, you know, all these guys gone. You know, you start saying the Butler and Ladie comes back. You got Butler, Trammell, Micah Parrish, Ladie, and then we'll put X as a center. So I think Johnson, Saunders, and Bird are going to be good. I think they're going to get some more playing time this year, but they're going to need another year to get a little bit more, you know, comfortable, which is fine. But like, dude, like Micah Parrish is just going to be a monster next year, dude. Look at how many, and you look at Dixon Waters. Oh yeah, Dixon Waters. You could throw him in there as you know what I mean, one of the starters. So you can get guys. Hey, this percentage of points has come off the board that we have to replace. Can you be one of the guys to replace it? You know,
Bean, you got anything to add to any of that, Bean?
Look, as much as I don't want, you know, NIL to really matter, it matters. And it may take, SDSU over the next 5 years may lose more players because of not having the NIL opportunities here at San Diego State as they can get at other universities. Now, honestly, I think that guys like Lamont Butler are more the exception than the norm. And so you look at these kids, a lot of these kids don't come from great financial situations, you know. They're working class families, some of them, you know, lower income, and that extra money can help. We need to improve in NIL, absolutely. Or we're going to either not be able to keep the players that we have, or we're not going to get recruits like we have been in the past just because of culture. I think there can be a balance between the two, but I certainly think that we need to improve the NIL that we provide to our student athletes if we're going to continue the success that we have.
why? We just picked up Dixon Waters. He's not coming for the money. You know, there's a finite amount of guys that are going to get paid each year. Those aren't our guys. Those aren't our guys. There's a San Diego State guy and there's a not San Diego State guy. The NIL is just getting blown into so much wild proportion shit. It's going to be, I just don't see it being sustainable. We're not going to pay guys $100,000 or $200,000 a year. That's not our culture, dude. So yeah, we might miss out on a guy, but there's a shitload of guys that are really good basketball players, and you get them who want to be taught, who want to learn, who want to get better. Those are the guys we want. And, you know, guys are just coming for the money. I don't know if we want those guys.
Mike,
You know?
when we lose someone in the portal to an NIL because of NIL, let's have this conversation again.
Then we lose him. There's nothing we can do about it. We'll replace him. He might not be as good. He might need a year or two. We'll replace him. Everybody's replaceable. Everybody is replaceable. That's my.
This is true. This is true. This is a fact.
I could care fucking less about the NIL. I hate talking about it. I don't understand it. I don't know why everybody gets so up in arms about it. And I'm not bringing on you, but like I read all this stuff. Who fucking cares, dude?
Don't care.
There's so many players at so many high schools, and so many in the country, overseas now, all over the world. You're telling me we can't find 10 or 12 guys that fit our mold that are really good players out of how many guys in the country, in the world that want to come here and play well? Nah, dude. We'll find our guys. You go take your Lucci, you go somewhere else, you go get bounced in the first round, you go to Louisiana Tech and you make that NIT or that CABB or whatever the fuck it is. We got our guys, we're going. That's why I think basketball is so pure compared to football. We're never going to beat an Alabama in football. We're never going to beat a Georgia. Not going to happen. We're playing NFL teams as a college team. Basketball, you catch fire like we did this year, you could win a national title, man.
Why are you talking,
So for me, I get the NIL, I get the money.
Easier to buy a team too.
But huh?
It's easier to buy a team too.
Right. Exactly. And so I understand it. And, you know, but like I said, if you're in it for the money, I understand that, you know, everybody needs money right now and stuff like that. But we have a culture. It's like, hey, come with us, play. You want to win. You're only in college a certain amount of time. You know, I mean, who knows? Let's just be honest, man. Who knows what else is being given to these guys that not NIL? We'll find other guys. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, we might lose a guy, but at the end of the day, if we lose a guy to the NIL portal, was he really our guy? Was he really a fit for our program? We want guys to fit our program. We want good. I mean, you listen to all these guys. Look at Matt Bradley and Nathan Menza going at the Rock Church. There's a foundation of religion between these players in this team that I continue to hear when they each talk. There's a faith-based religion that, they bond with each other. And it's just an interesting dynamic to, if you listen to them, you see them do all that stuff together, and they're brothers, man. I mean, look at how many guys came back, dude. So I get it, Fiend. I know what you're talking about with the NIL, but that's not us, man. You know what I mean? That's not us. Yeah, if each guy could get 10 grand a month, yeah, that'd be great. Cool. But where's that money going to come from? You know what I mean?
10,000 donors at $200 a piece.
Yeah, but in these economic times right now, man, are people going to give $200 a month to something like that?
No, for the year.
Yeah.
10,000 donors, $200 for the year. That's totally doable.
We give so much respect to the Mesa because it falls in line with the program, and that's good for that foundation. But there's nothing to stop an outside company, corporation, another organization that's willing to put up that money for a player, and because it's all whatever the player can generate. If their marketability can earn them that much, if that player is that special, then great for him, And so it really falls down on us alumni, us donors, and the corporate base here in San Diego. I don't know, man. It's something you could get heated off of. I understand that, but at the end of the day, if a player can do it, hey, that's more power to them.
It's just something you can't control, man. You can't control someone paying someone to come play at their squad. And if a kid's enticed by that, he's enticed by that. Whether it's right, wrong, or different, he's going to go there. You know what I mean? So, like, does it affect us? We don't know yet. It hasn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, so we'll see. It's interesting. I just don't know. How is that sustainable? Because
it's so early, like Michael said, it's so early. We're still figuring things out. I mean, who knows in the next couple of years whether there's going to be some type of proposed, more legislation that's going to counter certain things. I mean, it's the Wild West. A lot of it is yet to be determined, but in these early stages, everybody's on the same playing field, right? The rules are the same. You just got to play the game. Otherwise, as Fiend says, the game will play you. We just need to be up to a certain standard. And when you see your peers in the Mountain West, it's competitive business, whether it's on the court or off the court, in the business room or outside on the streets. Like you got to be able to compete at every level. Whatever it is, the donors, whatever it is, the business community, it's time to step up and just compete. Just can't be inept. You got to compete. You got to be in the game.
Yeah. I'm just interested to see when a big time guy or a guy comes with money and they start losing and they're not playing well, how that's going to affect the camaraderie of a team. I mean, that's being a devil's advocate in that, you know what I mean? If everything's hunky dory when you're winning, but if you start losing and you have a big bonus baby, as they call it, is he going to be the first one? Hey, dude, you're getting all this money. Why don't you play him better?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I know that coaches have guys that, come out of nowhere, like Parrish last year, Wetzel, and some of these guys are like, whoa, but I was reading an article on the two kids coming in, BJ Davis and Heidi. How do you say his name? Hyde? Miles Hyde?
Oh, yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah. I mean, they wanted Davis and Hyde. I mean, I think Dutcher recruited Hyde directly. I don't know if he's done that many times with players where the head coach goes and meets with that kid. So, that'll be interesting. And plus, to the national championship, that's going to be able to, I think, get a guy who's defensive minded and can be a little bit more of a scorer, knowing, hey, they got to make up some points and I can come in and fill that void for them.
All right, guys, anything else before we wrap it up? This was excellent conversation. I got a job to edit all this down, but this is good stuff. Mr. Aztec Hoop Nation himself, thank you for joining us, man. Any parting info we should be lookout on these next couple weeks as the portal continues to turn?
Yeah, just know that last week, there was not much portal news because the coaches were out there scouting high school players. There was the EYBL and Adidas Gauntlet, I believe, right? So there were just a bunch of different events. So the coaches were spread out, so they were out there recruiting. So there was nothing portal wise. Like I said, we heard the news that Javonte Brown's coming in next week. Once we hear that wrapped up for sure, so he'll be the name of watch. And Bryant Salamange, another big that Mark Ziegler mentioned in his article.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys saw Ziegler's latest article in the UT, but Warren Washington, a name that we are all very familiar with, San Diego kid out of Mission Hills High, big 7-footer, entered the portal out of ASU. So, hey, he actually wanted to come to state last year when Nathan was kind of mulling over his decision to come back or not. And so, pretty interesting timing on entering the portal as a San Diego kid. I could get excited about that for sure. So we'll have to keep our eyes and our ears open on Warren Washington.
We'll see, but like I said, just we'll keep an eye out, and we'll be posting up there on Sons of Montezuma. We'll be editing that out and adding any names and taking out names, and just keep it locked on the website to see what's going on with the transfer portal.
All right, sounds good. So definitely, everybody, when you're done listening to this, go take a look at the Mesa Foundation's site. Take a look over their options that they have to give, and definitely support Sons of Montezuma. We were the first NIL company to make apparel for players. We definitely got a lot of merch still for sale for some of the guys. Of course, Lamont Butler, we got that poster of the shot now that's been flying out of the shop. It's been really cool to see. A lot of people have been loving that poster. 2 posters. And of course, all his merch. So got some things in the works. Guys, we'll keep up the off-season talk. And we'll also be transitioning into a little football talk. I'm excited about that. I know you guys are excited. All right, guys. On behalf of the guys, sonsofmontezuma.com, Mateo San Diego, SG Sports 3, Mike Tortola, and Michael Mashetsky. Yes, I got it somehow. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. Peace.
All right, guys.
Go Aztecs.
Go Aztecs, Mike.
Oh, go Aztecs! We all say that. I didn't know that.
Dropping it, blood, sweat, tears, bro. Ain't no stopping it. With team on 3 and family on 6, and when you hear it done, it all means this. We game time ready. Welcome to my gym where the crowd stays heavy.
Go Aztecs!